Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're sifting through the online buzz, pulling out the stuff you actually need to know, no fluff. We're using a really interesting source today. It's a collection of trending X posts from something called Daily Vibecasting, all from July 30th, 2025. The mission: get smart fast. Find the real story in all that noise. Understand what's actually moving the needle right now.
Exactly. And looking at these posts, the ones shooting around X, it's like an instant snapshot, isn't it? Shows you what everyone's suddenly focused on, what they're worried about, even sort of the psychology behind why something blows up online. So yeah, we're not just listing tweets. We want to get into the why this matters, what's the bigger picture.
Couldn't have said it better. Okay, let's jump right in. First up, some big economic news that's clearly hitting people where they live, and some frustration, too. This first one is from @WatcherGuru. Sounds good initially. Just in. Church, U.S. economy grew 3% in Q2, beating expectations.
A win. Right?
Yeah.
On the face of it, yeah. That 3% GDP growth for Q2 2025, it actually beat what economists were predicting. They thought maybe 2.5%. Recent reports suggest it's down to pretty strong consumer spending, businesses investing. Kind of surprising given the slowdown worries earlier. And, big picture, strong growth, low unemployment, that's usually a sign of a healthy market. It could definitely nudge the Federal Reserve on interest rates.
Interest rates. Perfect timing, because that positive vibe kind of evaporates with this next post. From @EricIldo. Breaking: Jerome Powell leaves interest rates unchanged at today's Fed meeting. Ridiculous. He is costing the U.S. hundreds of billions. Wow. Okay, that's a really strong take, especially right after good GDP news. Why the fury?
Well, what's fascinating is exactly that clash, right? Powell decides July 30th, keep rates steady, but the economy's in this really tricky debated spot. His job is balancing inflation and jobs, sure, but there is that recent study suggesting keeping rates flat for too long might actually make inequality worse. That's the surprising bit, I think. A policy meant for stability having these, unintended consequences maybe, and that disconnect fuels the frustration you see there. It kind of echoes those old "and the Fed" arguments, too.
So it's less about the top-line number and more about who feels the pinch or who gets ahead, which leads us perfectly to something very, very real for folks. This post from @SpencerHakimian. Folgers Coffee, $19.72. This was $12.99 a month ago, a $7 jump in 1 month. For Folgers, that's wild.
It is absolutely wild, and it directly mirrors, I think it was a 30.5% annual jump in global coffee prices. The big takeaway here is how plugged in our grocery prices are to global stuff, the spike. Mostly climate change. You've got frost, droughts in Brazil, hitting harvests hard. That's what recent environmental studies are saying. Plus, wasn't there talk about new tariffs, like 50% on coffee imports in the U.S. trade talks? So yeah, forget stable prices, especially for the budget brands. It really hits home.
It really does. Seeing how massive global forces, climate change, trade talks, end up costing you more for morning coffee. It connects the dots, doesn't it? Okay, shifting gears slightly, but still on public feeling shaping things. Policy and accountability. Next is from @LeadingReport. Breaking: PELOSI Act to ban congressional stock trading has just passed out of committee. That name alone tells a story, right?
It absolutely does. The PELOSI Act, its goal is stopping members of Congress and their spouses from trading individual stocks. It just got out of committee July 30th, but it was close. 8-7 vote. Obviously named after Nancy Pelosi because of all that controversy around her family's trades. People like Senator Josh Hawley have pushed hard for this. But here's the kicker, the real eye-opener. That 2021 analysis by Unusual Whales. It found Congress members' stock picks beat the market by like 5.7% a year. Numbers like that are why you see this push from both sides, why Trump pledged in 2025 to sign it. It's about perceived fairness.
Yeah, 5.7% annual outperformance. That explains a lot of the public anger and demand for change. And speaking of anger and accountability in a crisis, this next one lit up the internet from @NixHarder, an insane. MUE police were present stopping Hawaii tsunami evacuees from using Oprah's Road before she finally relented to pressure and opened it. Just, wow, that caused an uproar.
Huge uproar. And it touches on something really sensitive. So remember, July 30th, massive earthquake off Russia, tsunami warnings everywhere, including Hawaii, chaos, evacuations, traffic jammed solid, especially on Maui. And the core issue becomes Oprah's private road running from Wailea to Kula versus public safety in a life or death situation. The allegations were that police were actually blocking evacuees from using that road, protecting private property over escape routes. That's what sparked the fury. That conflict between private ownership and urgent public need, and the delay in opening it just fanned the flames.
Just an awful situation for anyone trying to get to safety.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pivot from that intense situation to something that sounds frankly bizarre but has real consequences. Post from @RonFilipkowski. Every DUI defense lawyer in America just hit the jackpot, and it links to the High Noon recall. What on earth happened there?
Yeah, this one sounds like a mistake from a sitcom, but it's a serious public health risk. High Noon, the vodka seltzers, they had to recall a batch because they were accidentally labeled as Celsius energy drinks. Apparently, a mistake at a shared supplier, third-party packaging place, affected 6 states. Now, the danger isn't just someone getting the wrong drink. Research shows mislabeling alcohol like this, it can lead to more alcohol-related incidents. NIA studies suggest maybe a 20% increase if labeling is off. It really makes you question those automated packaging systems, especially when the FDA reported, I think it was 2022, a 15% rise in labeling errors industry-wide. How does this keep happening?
That is deeply concerning. Okay, changing lanes again. Let's get into tech, arts, human stuff. This next one's a bit lighter. It's straight from @Elon Musk. Testing rubbing jeans on our seats. A highs. Yeah, testing jeans. What's that about?
Right. It sounds weird, but here's where it gets kind of cool, actually. He's talking about a video Tesla put out. It shows a robotic arm just rubbing a pair of jeans back and forth on their car seats. It's their way of testing durability. Super innovative, really. Simulating years of wear and tear. It fits right into their whole strategy, Using advanced robotics everywhere, production, testing, like with the robotaxi stuff. The humanoid robots shows they think differently, even about seat fabric.
Okay, that actually is pretty clever and very visual. All right, from robot jeans to pure pop culture, here's @Pop Base.
Yeah!
New trailer for Zootopia 2 November 26th. Sure no. Fans have waited a while for this one.
Oh, yeah. And the image they used, it features Flash the Sloth, instantly recognizable, brings back that feeling from the first movie, continuity. The sequel's carrying on with Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, the Rabbit and Fox partners, digging into partnership, society, all that. And the big buzz for fans right now, Gazelle, voiced by Shakira, she's back. New outfit reveal from D23 Brazil, apparently. So yeah, building up a lot of excitement for that November release.
Good news for animation fans. Now, speaking of building excitement, or maybe surprise, a cryptic one from @TylerTheCreator. Don't tap the glass out now. With story here. This was his surprise album drop. A 10-song album landed July 21st, 2025. And what's interesting is this strategy. Like almost zero promotion, then boom, it's out. Pitchfork and others have pointed out this keeps fans guessing, keeps them hooked, right? Unpredictability. The title, the timing, it also ties into his Chromacopia tour that's going on, feels connected. But the reaction on X, pretty split. Some love it, some are scratching their heads. It kind of mirrors that USC study about surprise hip-hop drops. Sometimes they divide the audience because expectations are so high.
Keep them guessing, even if it splits opinions. Okay, now for something different. Less music, more meme culture. From @PerOriginalWegweg, it's a meme. Lana Del Rey looking totally deadpan about a guy's bald spot while he's crying. What is this meme actually getting at? Yeah. It uses that classic Lana Del Rey unimpressed look. The joke is basically her attraction vanishing when she sees his vulnerability, the crying combined with noticing the bald spot, a sign of aging. It's tapping into all these cultural anxieties, right? About men showing emotion, about aging. There was that study, Frontiers in Psychology, I think, showing men feel more shame crying because of social norms. So the meme kind of raises questions about gender dynamics, how we view emotions, attraction, all packaged in this cynical, humorous way. Lana, with her whole vibe, is sort of the perfect face for it.
Wow, a lot packed into one meme. Okay, speaking of things spreading online, this one from @DearMeToo went everywhere. Breaking news, every finger that touches this post will receive good news in August.
Yeah.
What do you make of these? Are people really buying into this?
Well, it's interesting psychologically. It plays into something called the Bader-Meinhof effect. Like when you learn a new word and suddenly see it everywhere, seeing a post promising good news might just make you notice positive things more in August. Your brain connects the dots, gives you a little feeling of control maybe. A 2014 study touched on this. And it goes viral because it taps into older superstitions too, like touching wood back in the 17th century. So no magic, obviously, but the positive framing, it's actually a bit like cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. Expecting good things can make you more resilient. So it's not totally baseless, psychologically speaking.
Yes, we could all use a bit of good news framing.
Yeah.
All right, final one for our rapid fire round today. Simple, kind of philosophical, from @YeSuckMe. Let people think whatever. It's very online. that sentiment. What's the deeper current there?
Yeah, on a platform like X, that phrase is interesting. It might relate to what psychologists call pluralistic ignorance. That's where people privately disagree with something but go along because they think everyone else agrees. Studies show tons of people hold back their real opinions. So let people think whatever could reflect this sort of subtle shift online, maybe, towards just accepting different views without needing a fight. Maybe influenced by everything going on globally. It also feels like a pushback against that over-hated culture online, maybe people just wanting space to think their own thoughts without judgment. Seeking validation, perhaps.
Finding space for real thought online. Easier said than done sometimes. Okay, what a tour through the X-verse today.
It really was, wasn't it? From like global finance and policy arguments down to memes about Lana Del Rey and robot genes. It's amazing how fast you can get a read on what's capturing attention, what people are chewing on just from these little bursts of info.
Yeah, and that's what this deep dive is all about, right? Showing that platforms like X, they're not just noise, there are complex issues, real reactions happening there. So the question for you listening is, what does it all mean? How do these instant raw reactions online actually shape conversations, maybe even decisions out here in the real world? And what's our role, yours and mine, as we scroll and share? How do we cut through the noise ourselves? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.